Pocket FM.
To unlock all the episodes, click the link in bio.
You got her pregnant? My voice shook as I stood frozen at the doorway of Cassian's office. My mate, my husband, stepped out, hand in hand with his ex, Hazel, like she still belonged to him. She clung to him, her skimpy dress and smug smile screaming like she had already won. Cassian didn't even look at me, or the dinner preparations I had poured my heart into. He was too busy touching Hazel, acting like I didn't exist. She'll be staying here from now on, he said coldly. I clutched my stomach, the secret I'd been carrying alone. I was pregnant too. But tonight, none of that mattered. I wasn't his mate. I was just in the way. That night, everything changed. But maybe the cracks had started forming long before, back when Cassian left me alone at the assembly, just to be with her. I am Celine. It was my birthday today and I was going to tell my husband that we are finally going to have a baby. I walked toward his office with trembling hands to invite him for dinner. I had prepared his favorite food, decorated the room with flowers and candles, a small celebration that could mark a new beginning for us. I told myself it would be different this time, that maybe, just maybe, he would soften. As the Pax Luna, I carried out my duties quietly and diligently, but it was never enough to earn his heart. Cassian had always belonged to Hazel. Hazel was Cassian's ex-girlfriend. She was his one true love, a woman who was better in many ways than me. Hazel and Cassian were childhood sweethearts. After Cassian found out that we were fated mates, he had no choice but to mark me and make me his Luna, but he only had Hazel in his heart. I was never supposed to be Luna. I was an Omega, invisible in every way. That changed when I turned 18, when the claiming ceremony revealed Cassian, the Alpha's son, as my fated mate. Alpha Garen was seriously ill. Desperate to secure the Pack's future, he demanded Cassian accept me as his mate or risk losing his wolf strength and everything he had been raised to inherit. Cassian had resisted, and I did too, knowing his heart belonged to someone else. But in the end, we honored Alpha Garen's wishes. Cassian and I got married, and Hazel was banished from the Pack. I let myself hope that maybe Cassian would come to accept me. But on our wedding night, he told me that though I was the Luna now, chosen by his father and the moon goddess, I would never be his mate. He said he would never be mine. In the years that we were married, he treated me as nothing more than his mere subordinate. I spent my days doing my Luna duties and training the Pack as a warrior. With my fighting skills and abilities, no one in this Pack could take me down in a fight. That's how I earned my position in the military. It was also one why Alpha Garen had been so happy to learn that I was fated to his son. And then one night changed everything. Cassian stumbled into my chambers drunk, weighed down by grief and exhaustion. Without a word, he kissed me. I tried to resist, but my heart betrayed me. For the first time, I wasn't invisible. For the first time, I believed my mate truly saw me, wanted me. That night we were together. It wasn't perfect, but it was real, and that gave me hope. But now, with Hazel back out of nowhere, I get why Cassian had become more cold and indifferent towards me again. He also started to neglect his duties, which added to my workload. This cannot continue any longer, especially now that I'm pregnant. With everything that has been happening, I know I can't keep this a secret any longer. My palms grew clammy as I approached Cassian's office. I hadn't seen him the whole night, and searching his office was the first thing I could think of. Doubts and insecurities filled my mind as I drew nearer to my destination. But then the guards stopped me. Luna, Alpha is busy right now, one of them said. He has ordered not to let anyone in. Standing outside the office door, I heard a man's laughter, followed by a woman's low moan. My heart sank. I prayed to the moon goddess that it wasn't him. But who else could it be? In the years I had been with Cassian, I had never heard him laugh so sweetly as he was doing now with Hazel. I felt a pang of jealousy in my chest because Hazel could easily make Cassian laugh, while I couldn't even bring a smile to his face even though I was his mate and Luna. It hurt to know this, and it hurt even more because there was no way for me to change it. I had never held a special place in Cassian's heart, but he had always held one in mine. His cold treatment toward me was a constant reminder that he saw me as nothing but a pestilence. Unable to hear their conversation, I grew more curious and my insecurities got the best of me. When their laughter suddenly died down, I knew I had to go in there and know what was happening. But before I could act, the door opened. Cassian stood there, tall and composed, holding Hazel's hand. She clung to him like nothing had ever changed between them. He looked at me, icy and detached. "What are you doing here?" he asked. I gripped the hem of my oversized dress tightly as I stared at their closeness. Cassian's muscular build shielded Hazel's petite frame. Before I could respond, he announced, "Hazel's going to be staying here. She's pregnant." The words crushed me like a stone against my chest. My eyes went wide at the news. "She's pregnant?" I stammered. On my birthday, the day I wanted to tell him about my own pregnancy, I was instead confronted with Hazel's. I was speechless for several seconds as the announcement hit me like a freight train. A lump formed in my throat as I locked gazes with Cassian. I waited for him to say something, to defend himself for the immoral thing he had done, but all I received from him was indifference. He didn't even feel any remorse for cheating on me and impregnating another woman. Instead, he glared at me, his nose flaring angrily. My heart twitched slightly as I held his gaze. Am I really that insignificant to him? Had he not thought about how this news would hurt me? I glanced at Hazel and took in her outfit. She was wearing a silk dress that enhanced her curves perfectly. I gulped as I stared at her perfect body. Her skin was clear and radiant with a flawless complexion. Is this why Cassian likes her? I clenched my jaw as I compared her body to mine. As a pack warrior, I trained every day under the sun, which left me with tan, dry skin, nothing like Hazel's smooth porcelain skin. Scars marked my body from the fights I had endured. Calluses covered my hands from endless training and weapon work. My body was tarnished, while Hazel's was unblemished. I no longer wondered why Cassian didn't like me, or why it was so hard for him to forget his first love. Hazel looked at me as if mocking me. "Well, I'll let you both discuss your matter. I will leave," she said softly. She carried the tray of food they had for dinner and purposely knocked into me, making her fall to the floor. In her fall, she dropped the tray she was holding, sending the dishes flying. Broken shards scattered across the room. I winced when one of the shards slashed my leg as it skittered toward me. "Hazel!" Cassian shouted worriedly as he rushed to help her while I was left alone checking the wound on my leg. I watched as Cassian searched Hazel's body for any sign of injuries, but she was perfectly fine. I was the one who got hurt, yet Cassian couldn't care less. Hazel glared at me, though it was entirely her fault. There had been plenty of space on the other side of the room, but she had purposely bumped into me. "I know you don't like me, Celine, but you can't just hurt me if you want. It's not my fault Cassian likes me," she said. "Celine, what are you, a 4-year-old? Cassian rebuked me without even asking for an explanation. "Is this how a Luna should act? This kind of attitude is not fit for a Luna," he added. I swallowed hard as my identity as Luna was questioned. I had done everything for this pack. As Luna, I never once slacked on my duties. I was his mate, the rightful Luna of this pack. How could he question my credibility as Luna? "What would you do if Hazel has a miscarriage? I will never forgive you if you hurt my child," Cassian hissed angrily. A lump formed in my throat as I locked gazes with him. "You apologize to her," Cassian demanded, making my jaw drop open. I let out a breath of disbelief at what I had just heard, but he only looked at me with a straight face. He was really serious about this. I blinked at his shamelessness. Wasn't it enough that he had impregnated his ex without a shred of guilt? Now he wanted me to apologize to her when I hadn't done anything wrong in the first place? He looked down on me as if I were nothing. Has he forgotten who I am? My blood boiled as my gaze fell on Hazel, who was carrying my mate's child. If anyone had to say sorry, it was them. They were the ones who needed to apologize for betraying me. "I am not just a warrior in this pack, Cassian. I am also your wife and your Luna. Why should I apologize to your mistress, who isn't even part of this pack?" I blurted out, pointing an angry finger at Hazel. Cassian only scoffed in response. He looked at me mockingly as if I were a joke to him. "You are so delusional," he snapped back. "When have I ever seen you as my mate and Luna?" he questioned, taking me aback. My body ran cold at his blunt response. Did he forget the past 3 years? No, did he forget that night? "Cassian, I'm your mate," I retorted, my lips quivering. "A mate that I never wanted," he yelled back, shattering what was left of my broken heart. Cassian's tone shifted, colder now. "You have 2 choices, Celine. Stay here as the dutiful Luna, serving this pack as you always have, or leave. But Hazel and the baby are staying." Tears burned in my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. My child would not grow up seeing me beg for love that was never mine to claim. I would not let my baby become a pawn in this cruel game. So I straightened my back, swallowed the pain, and whispered calmly, "Okay then. If she's staying here, I'm leaving." For the first time, I did not falter. My lips no longer trembled, my voice no longer shook. With a steady breath, I said, "I want a divorce." Cassian froze, stunned into silence as I turned and walked away. He had never expected me to defy him. I had always been loyal, devoted to the pack and to him, despite his neglect. For 3 years, I had been his constant, trusted, capable, the foundation of the pack's strength. He had told himself my presence was obligation, yet deep down, I knew he realized it wasn't entirely true. Back in my room, I collapsed on the bed, my tears soaking the pillow. Despite being born Omega, I had earned my place, built respect, and carried the weight of being Luna of Moonshade. The pack people adored me, the council members respected me and trusted my judgment. And yet, in this moment, I felt invisible. My sobs were cut short when the door suddenly burst open. An Omega, breathless and panicked, rushed in. "Luna! A rogue! He attacked a child!" Without hesitation, I raced outside. My wound, my pain, my broken heart, none of it mattered. When I reached the scene, the pack doctor was already tending to a little boy laying on the ground, his shirt soaked in blood. The gash was deep, and the doctor's grim face said everything. "I've done all I can," he muttered. "No, I refuse to accept it." Kneeling beside the child, I snatched the salve from the doctor's hand and pressed gauze to the wound. I don't know why I was doing it, I just couldn't see the child and his mother in that condition. Within minutes, the child's breathing steadied and he opened his eyes. His mother fell to her knees and thanked me, sobbing with relief. The pack doctor looked at me in shock as well. I heard him mutter how this could be dark magic. But like most people, I chose to ignore him. I didn't understand how it happened as well. How I healed the child. I had heard it multiple times from multiple people that I had healing abilities, but I didn't know if there was any truth to it. I didn't even know where it came from, and honestly, I didn't care. The boy was alive and well. That was all that mattered. As I walked back toward the pack house, my eyes fell on Cassian's window. I saw Hazel standing there wearing her silky nightgown looking at me with a cold smile. My hand instinctively went to my abdomen. My unborn child. No matter what happened, I would not let my baby grow up feeling unwanted. A second thought, as I always had been. I straightened my back and went to my room. It was time to leave. For good. Just then, a knock sounded at my door. "Malik?" I exhaled in relief when I saw Cassian's cousin standing outside my door, smiling at me. The wrinkles on my brows eased, and I beamed when I saw him. Malik was kind, always nice to me. He was Cassian's cousin by blood, yet the opposite of him in every way, calm, strong, and unpretentious. He never looked at me as though I was lesser. Malik was the alpha of the Celeste Fang pack. He had once been the rightful heir of our pack, Moonshade. But after Alpha Garen died, the council chose Cassian instead because Malik's mother was a rogue. His pack was the only one that didn't follow status classes. In the Celeste Fang pack, everyone was equal, like in human society. Members weren't ranked by the level of their power. Unlike Cassian, Malik always showed me kindness. He treated me like a person, not just a Luna bound by duty. "What happened to your leg?" Malik frowned when he noticed the bandage. Nothing escaped his eye. Even in the dark, he had seen my wound. "I got it during practice," I lied through my teeth. If he found out the truth, he would be angry. Malik cared for me more than he should. His brows furrowed at my answer. It was the middle of the night, my wound was fresh, and I had just come from outside. How could I have gotten it during training? "Is everything okay?" he asked. I forced a smile. "Of course I'm fine. I'm just tired." I waved him off, but Malik wasn't convinced. He knew I was lying. He knew I was hiding something. Still, he also knew when to trust me. Whoever Malik's mate was, she would be lucky to have him. "Selene, happy birthday," Malik said softly, surprising me. My mate hadn't even remembered it was my birthday, but Malik had. "Thank you, Malik," I muttered. "Open your gift," he said, handing me a beautiful box. I opened the box shyly and found a beautiful set of earrings inside. "Oh, goddess, Malik, these are beautiful, but I can't accept them. Please," I told him. "Selene, it's rude to return a gift, don't you know that?" he teased, "and especially on your birthday." He pushed the box toward me. "Keep them, I insist." "Thank you," I whispered. That was all I could say. No one had ever given me presents. No one had ever given me kindness. The feeling was so strange, so overwhelming. For a fleeting moment, I wondered, what if Malik had been my mate? What would life have been like then? But I quickly dismissed the thought. Fate had bound me to Cassian, and there was no undoing that bond. It's my pleasure, Celine, and you don't have to thank me. We're friends. I'll always be here for you, he said. I smiled at him. Do you want to go for a walk? He asked me, changing the subject. Just then, a subordinate walked in. Luna, the Alpha has requested your presence. I looked at Malik. I would have loved to, but you know how much the Alpha hates waiting. I wonder what you did to earn that meeting, Malik laughed. Well, where could I start from? I thought. It was a long story. I remembered everything. Hazel's smug grin, Cassian's indifference, how he announced Hazel was staying here, and my own demand for divorce. It was a lot, but this wasn't the time to tell anyone. Could be pack matters, I lied. Okay, you take care of your leg, I will see you soon, Malik said and left. I kept his gift in my room, then headed towards Cassian's office. As I walked down the corridor, I halted when I heard voices spilling out. What? Pregnant? Cassian's mother, Callista, exclaimed. My heart dropped. For a moment, I thought they had discovered my secret, but then her next words cut me open. I'm so glad you're carrying my grandchild. Finally, someone worthy, not that stray from the gutters. Callista hugged Hazel, the kind of affection she had never once spared for me. This child will be the true heir, she went on. Unlike that Omega Luna forced upon us. You are the rightful Luna, the only one who can secure the Alpha line. I hated what I was hearing. Callista hated me so much, my lineage, the fact that I was an Omega who married her son. I couldn't hear anymore, so I decided to walk away, but I wish I had stayed a moment longer. When I left, Callista's voice dropped to a whisper. I'm so glad I brought you back, Hazel, and when I told you to seduce my son. Once you give the pack the heir, no one will stop you from becoming Luna. Hazel giggled hearing Callista's words. Did the potion work? Callista asked. It worked just like you said, Hazel answered. I poured it into Cassian's wine, and he was putty in my arms all night long. It was the truth. The potion worked. Hazel just chose to leave out the part where the desire he felt wasn't for her. It was for me, and what I had taken as a moment of fragile connection, the night I had clung to as a turning point, was actually part of Hazel's manipulation. I knew it would. This will ease the way into our next step, your marriage, Callista replied smugly. Thank you, Hazel replied with delight. This was everything she wanted. Just because the baby she was carrying wasn't technically Cassian's didn't mean it couldn't be known as Cassian's heir. She knew perception was reality. All she had to do was maintain the facade and everything would be just fine. After leaving Callista's chambers, I was furious. For 3 years I had done my duty, and in return all I got was humiliation after humiliation from both my husband and his mother. No more. As I walked toward Cassian's office, I asked myself, was I really going there just because he called for me? And what then? Stand there and take whatever insults he felt like throwing at me today? He had never respected me, neither had his mother. Why should I respect him? I had had enough. I turned around and headed straight to the PAC's legal counsel. Inside, the lawyer sat behind his desk, surprised to see me. Luna, how may I help you? He asked. I want you to draw up divorce papers, and I want them now, I said firmly. Divorce papers? From the Alpha? His eyes widened. I didn't have the energy to explain. Please get it done immediately. Print them out, I'll wait, I told him. While he typed at his terminal, my mind drifted. Was this the right choice? Was I really ready to go rogue? I thought about staying and what that would mean. I thought about my baby being born in the PAC doctor's clinic, but from where I stood, I saw no other choice. For my dignity and for the future of my child, I had to leave Cassian behind. Finally, the lawyer's voice broke into my thoughts. Luna, here are your divorce papers. I thanked him, then walked toward my soon-to-be ex-husband's office. Enter, Cassian called when I knocked. He rose to his feet behind his desk when he saw me. Where the hell have you been? He demanded. I summoned you 45 minutes ago. I didn't answer. I set the divorce papers on his desk and turned to leave. Cassian stared after me, shocked. His gaze flicked from the papers to me. Celine, he roared, but I kept walking. I had nothing more to say. Cassian's POV. Divorce? I couldn't understand. I sighed and raked my hair in frustration when my mind drifted off again instead of focusing on the paperwork I had to finalize for the day. My thoughts kept going back to Celine's words. I couldn't believe how easily she asked me for a divorce. Celine had always been responsible and obedient, both as a Luna and as my right hand. I couldn't believe she would file for divorce knowing it would mean giving up her Luna title and going rogue. I leaned back in my chair and shut my eyes as the headache started building. She must be speaking out of pure emotion. Once she calmed down and saw things clearly, she would realize divorce was too much. I jolted when someone suddenly entered my office without knocking. For a moment I thought it was Celine, but it was my beta. "Are the papers signed already?" Beta Writer asked as he strolled inside. I glanced down at the papers my mind had barely absorbed. Before I could answer, he spoke again. "You've been out of yourself ever since Luna Celine left your office. What happened between you two?" he asked curiously. "Celine is filing for divorce," I said bluntly. His eyebrows shot up. "Are you serious? Do I look like I'm joking?" I glared at him. His brows furrowed as he thought carefully. "Is this a good thing or a bad thing?" My eyes narrowed, but I couldn't blame him for asking. Although Celine and I had been married for 4 years, we had never been intimate. I had never treated her as my true mate, and now Hazel was back and carrying my child. It was natural for Beta Writer to wonder. "Of course, it's a bad thing," I answered. "She is our pack Luna. We cannot lose her." When I first met Celine, I thought she was just a weak Omega who couldn't handle the role of Luna. But as time passed, I had to accept that she was one of the most powerful women I had ever met. The way she took care of the pack, managed matters, and built alliances, those were things not everyone could do. "How about Hazel then? Will she become the Luna?" Beta Writer asked as he plopped onto my couch, making himself comfortable like it was his own home. "She's pregnant with your child. I'm sure she'd love to be the pack's Luna." "Hazel can't be our Luna," I said flatly. "She'll never be half as good as Celine. Besides, our pack can't afford to lose someone like Celine." All of this started because I got Hazel pregnant. If that hadn't happened, Celine would never have thought of divorce. What happened with Hazel was an accident. I was drunk. I don't even remember how that night happened after she came back. I hated myself for losing control. The next thing I knew, Hazel was pregnant. I couldn't undo it. I had to take responsibility. The baby is innocent, still mine. My duty now is to take care of Hazel and my child, but Celine is the rightful Luna. "I'm not divorcing her," I told my decision. "Then why don't you just tell her that?" Ryder asked, like it was that simple. "Celine is still angry. If I go to her now, she'll only hate me more." My downcast expression lifted as a thought struck me. "Trust me, once Celine calms down, she'll realize divorce isn't what she wants. She won't choose to leave the pack and live as a rogue. Who in their right mind would want that?" "What are you planning to do now?" Ryder asked. "Buy me some flowers, lilies," I ordered. "What?" Ryder frowned, clearly caught off guard. "I shouldn't just wait for Celine to calm down. I should try to ease her anger too," I explained. "If she sees I care, she'll rethink everything. She'll know I don't only care about Hazel." Hearing my reasoning, Ryder didn't ask more. He left to get the flowers. What better gift than flowers to win a woman's heart? Once Celine receives them, she'll see the truth. She'll rethink her words. She'll realize I still care. Celine's POV. My heart was heavy with grief, and my body dragged with exhaustion when I returned to my room. Pregnancy made me softer, more emotional. It drained me quicker than before. And with everything that had happened lately, every step back into this house felt heavier. I didn't want to see anyone. Not Cassian, not anyone who could make this wound deeper. I just wanted to gather my things and leave, nothing more. My hand moved instinctively to my bump. My chest ached with guilt as I thought of my child. I knew what it meant to grow up without a father. I never wanted that for my baby. But what was worse, growing up fatherless or growing up with a father who never wanted you? Cassian already had Hazel, already had a child with her. Why would he want mine? It didn't matter anymore. My mother had raised me alone. I would raise my child better than she ever raised me, stronger, safer. "Where do you think you're going?" A sharp voice cut through my thoughts. I zipped my luggage before I turned. Callista, Cassian's mother, stood in the doorway. Callista had always disliked me. To her, I was too weak to be Luna, undeserving of her son, unworthy of her family's name. For years I bent myself into every shape possible to earn her respect, or at least her peace. But no matter how hard I tried, she never accepted me. She hated me for who I was, and she never missed a chance to remind me of it. Her arms were crossed, and I knew what was coming. She was ready as always to tear me down. But I wouldn't take it anymore. "I thought you did not want me here. Didn't you always force me to leave this pack and denounce my title?" I retorted. Before, I used to let her insult me, yell at me, and vent her anger on me even at the cost of my own dignity. I never talked back to her since she was my mother-in-law and I had to respect her. Now that Cassian and I are getting a divorce, there's no need for me to suck it all up when she and I will no longer be related to each other. Her eyes widened when she heard my disrespectful response. You! She raised her voice as she pointed an angry finger at me. Is that how you are supposed to talk to your own mother-in-law? Don't worry, you are not going to be my mother-in-law anymore. Cassian and I are getting a divorce and I'll be leaving this pack for good. You won't have to see my face just as you wanted, I yelled back at her. Finally, after so many years of being silent whenever she disrespected me, I could defend myself. It felt good to be able to stand up for myself again instead of just accepting insults and keeping everything in. Really? Her face, which was contorted with anger, suddenly brightened when she heard my words. You're leaving? She asked again, not quite believing it. Yes, I'm finally leaving this place, I said when I saw her reaction. Finally you came to your senses, she responded with a look of relief. Hazel is now pregnant, and the pack finally has an heir. You have been married to my son for 3 years, but you couldn't born him any children. Hearing her words, I looked down at my belly and stilled. Now that you've decided to leave for good, don't you ever come back. You only bring misfortune to us all. You are a jinx to our pack, Callista added. I'm not coming back. I will never come back, I told her. I should have you whipped for taking to me like that, Callista raged back. Ungrateful Omega scum. If it wasn't for my husband's interference, you'd still be wallowing in filth. Before I could say something, I saw movement out of the corner of my eye. Cassian stood in the hallway behind his mother, his arms folded over his chest, his back against the opposite wall. He stooped there silently, listening to his mother insulting me. But he didn't speak a word. I glanced at him to see what was stopping him from speaking when the bouquet of lilies in his hand caught my eye. I sneezed when its fragrance entered my nostrils. I started to laugh as I felt my nose clog up because of my allergies. In the 3 years of our marriage, he did not even know that I was allergic to lilies. You know what? I am leaving, I finally declared. No, you're not, Cassian finally said. We're not getting divorced. My father wanted you as the Luna. It was his dying wish. I will honor it. He stepped closer to me. And so will you. You owe us this. No, I said back. I won't stand for any more commands or demands from you, Cassian. You lost that right the moment you broke our marriage vows. You can go to Hazel. I was done. There was no redeeming this situation. I don't want you as a husband or an alpha anymore. Anything is better than being here with you, even going rogue, I told him. Having had enough, I spoke the words to sever my part of the mate bond, words that Cassian never saw coming. Suddenly, a sharp pain tore through my chest, tearing apart the bond that tied us together. I gasped, clutching my stomach as fire scorched through every nerve. Across the room, Cassian dropped to his knees, writhing under the same unbearable torment. I will not break my half, he roared. I stepped beside him and walked toward the bedroom door. The pain subsided a little more with every step. I grabbed my bag and walked away. My life here was done. You're going to come crawling back to me, Celine, Cassian bellowed. And when you do, I'm going to make you beg for my forgiveness. I will never come back here. Not even the threat of death itself will bring me to these lands. I swore. Will Celine truly be able to walk away from the pack forever? What will happen when Cassian realizes the secret she's carrying? Will Cassian's obsession destroy them both, or bind them together again? Is this the end of her story with Cassian, or just the beginning of a darker one?
Please subscribe to the Pocket FM YouTube channel and press the bell icon for instant notification. Check out our channel for more such exciting shows.
Pocket FM. To unlock all the episodes, click the link in bio.